start. I'm going to bring up the slideshow, but Austin, you go ahead and you start since it's 10:01 and I don't want to be late. Go right ahead. You have the floor, sir.
All right. Thank you, Thomasina. Well, hello, Zoom friends. Hope everybody's doing well today. I'm going to be running through just basically this checklist on that just has basically all the separate attachments here: the standard purchase agreement, standard new construction residential purchase agreement, and lists out in bullet points the changes to the forms. Obviously, there's quite a bit of overlap here, so I won't run through necessarily everything on every single form. But we'll start with the standard purchase agreements. Paragraph 5, they updated the language regarding the escrow deposit. So if you've got that in front of you, they've added some language at the bottom there that's essentially states that if you receive the deposit, so I understand you guys don't hold the deposits, but if your client gives the deposit to you, then you have an obligation to send that deposit over here within the time frame. I think the end of the 5th business banking day following the ratification date. So unless otherwise agreed to in writing, I don't know if that happens ever, if there's some circumstance in which the client would make another arrangement for the deposit to be held elsewhere. But so that change was made there. Paragraph 8, settlement in possession. This was obviously in response to the Bureau of Insurance letter that came out that just kind of threw everybody into a tizzy, but ultimately it seemed to sort of settle at this point. So the lawyers got together with their elected representatives and said, hey, make sure it's clear. So they've done that. They've added the provision here that the seller may retain a licensed attorney to represent the seller's interests and provide legal advice pertaining to escrow, closing, or settlement services. Such representation may include deep preparation, fee negotiation, review of applicable documents. There was a question, as many of you know, as to whether a seller could have their own attorney. It basically said that in Virginia, there's no split settlements. And so many folks thought that title companies were going to be able to force sellers to close with them as opposed to having their own representation. The practical side of it was just, I think in Northern Virginia, primarily there were companies that were handling the closing, and then instead of sending the payoff for the seller directly to the payoff lender, they were sending it to the seller's attorney or title company to then send to the payoff lender, which is not at all how we do it here. We expect that the seller's attorney will obtain the seller's payoff, but we are going to send the money directly to the payoff lender. We're going to send to Wells Fargo or Mr. Cooper, or whomever. So we're not going to, entrust somebody else to take care of it, which is what was happening up in Northern Virginia. So that practice obviously has come to a halt. And most of the title companies now, there were a period of time, some title companies were not going to handle seller files, and we ended up getting quite a few seller files as a result of that. But now pretty much it's gone back to business as usual. So that was the change made to paragraph 8 there, just clarifying that a seller is able to have their own attorney, their own representation, and that a buyer's title company is not going to be able to force a seller to use them or to pay additional fees for that. And we've had that come up a few times where we said, no, we're not paying a settlement fee for you guys to do what we're doing for them. And then the last change to the standard purchase agreement was the agency interest disclosure, paragraph 16D. This one, they've made this paragraph a bit more robust. Basically, if a licensee, so if an agent knows or should have known, I don't know what instance that would be, that such licensee or a member of a licensee's firm or any entity in which such licensee has an ownership interest is acquiring or attempting to acquire or is selling or leasing a property through purchase, sale, lease, and the licensee is a party to the transaction, the licensee must disclose in writing that such licensee is a licensee, and that such licensee, any member of the licensee's family, firm, or entity which such licensee has an ownership interest, has or will have an ownership interest to the other parties in the transaction. To me, this sounds the same as it was before. Basically, if you are involved in a transaction, and you're an agent, you have to disclose to the other party that you are a real estate agent. You're a licensee. So I don't know, what prompted that change. But it is, not only you, but if you're a member of an LLC that maybe you have an ownership interest in, your family does, if there's any sort of relationship in that. And then the interesting part does say, upon having substantive discussions about the property. So there's some threshold there. Certainly, upon making an offer or making a contract, would apply for substantive discussions. So there's some line there. It may not be the first thing that comes out in your mouth when you're talking about a property, but certainly when you get to the stage of doing a lease or doing a purchase or sale agreement, that would need to be disclosed to the other side. So those are the 3 changes listed out in the standard purchase agreement. Any questions on any of those before I move to standard new construction residential purchase agreement?
Yes, Lucy is going to add a little bit to that. Go ahead, Lucy.
I just want to clarify, I think the point that they're trying to make is that if our agents within the office have formed any kind of an LLC and are purchasing properties together, you need to disclose that even though that other agent isn't with you and isn't discussing the contract, that you are disclosing that you have that additional relationship with the other agent as part of the LLC in your office.
So basically, no more hiding behind it.
Yeah, no hiding behind it. And I think that's probably what prompted this, is somebody hid behind an LLC. Somebody found out later on that, oh, I had a relationship with Nikita and Dinesh, and I was a backdoor part of their LLC, and they didn't disclose that I was part of the LLC and a licensed agent.
Okay. Did you hear that, Austin?
I did, yeah. I mean, I think that still would have been covered under the previous language because it talks about any member of such firm or any entities in which such agent has an ownership interest is acquiring or attempting to acquire. It may be broader in that any member of the licensee's family, where it doesn't specifically mention any familial relationship. So maybe it isn't necessarily your LLC, but if it's your brother's LLC, that you would need to disclose that interest. But yeah, certainly in the instance of an entity, you're going to have to put that out on the table there.
While I have a captive audience, I'm just going to say again, we said this last week in the broker, I don't care how far reaching that family relationship is, I want it disclosed. We're going to just disclose the crap out of all the stuff and not have anything come back and bite you at all. We're just going to disclose it all.
I think that's the best option too. That way we don't have any issues. Okay,
Yeah.
Austin, keep going.
I would agree with that. Okay, so then the new construction residential purchase agreement. So you'll see that same updated language regarding the escrow deposit. They expanded the blank line, which I think just gave you a little more space to put the closing date. The same agency interest disclosure, but then there is the language here for a Liz pendant. So that basically in the the paragraph for the representations, the disclosures, under G, it does say that if an owner of a residential dwelling unit has actual knowledge of a lis pendens filed against such dwelling unit pursuant to 8.01-268, such owner shall provide to a prospective purchaser a written disclosure that so states. Such disclosure shall be provided on a form provided by the real estate board on its website So I went to the real estate board's website, and there is a residential property disclosure statement for Liz Pendens, notice to prospective purchaser, where it basically just says that, you know, you are advised that this property is known by the owner to have Liz Pendens filed against the dwelling unit. A Liz Pendens, for those of you that don't know, is basically just something that is filed when property is subject to some form of litigation. So there's no set form for it. It's just if something is filed. So, you know, oftentimes you can see in an instance where there's a purchase contract that a party defaults on, perhaps the seller defaults, and the buyer, wanting to protect and make sure that that seller does not sell that property to somebody else, will file a lawsuit to say, hey, seller, you are in default of the contract. And then as part of that filing, it's not the same, it's not in the complaint itself, it's something separate that you have to file, and it gets docketed in the land records, and it states that, hey, world, anybody that does a title search, this property is subject to a lawsuit, that a plaintiff has a case against the defendant, and it pertains to this particular piece of property. And so that gets recorded. And then if a title search is done to, you know, for a lender, for an owner, for a new purchaser, that will come up, and it basically brings the transaction to a halt. It says, hey, you know, there's an issue that pertains to this particular property, and it needs to be dealt with. I thought it was interesting that the standard purchase agreement didn't have that same language. And I guess the reason for that would just simply be the representation paragraph that's in the purchase contract itself. I didn't realize that was actually different than the representation paragraph in the new construction contract. So I thought that was interesting. And under paragraph 7C of the purchase agreement, the seller represents that the seller owns good and marketable fee simple title to the property, has the right to transfer the property without obtaining consent or approval of any other party, including without limitation judgment creditors, lien holders, other lenders, or any court, including a bankruptcy court or a court having jurisdiction. And that representation paragraph isn't in the new contract paragraph. I don't know why that is, but I thought that was interesting. I wasn't actually aware of that until looking at this. The new construction contract does have the deed paragraph does state that they need to be able to convey marketable title. So that, you know, an argument is that it's already part of it, but I think the practical point is that may be a discussion that you actually have to have with clients now, because of course they're not going to know what forms they need to use or what forms they have to produce. So if they do have actual knowledge, and if, under new construction anyways, if they do have actual knowledge of Liz Pendens, that they would then need to fill out that form. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's on the board's website, and provide that, I guess, with the contract itself. So kind of interesting there. So those were the changes outlined in the new construction contract. Any
Let me see if
questions on
anyone
those?
has any questions. Anybody have any questions so far of just the changes that he's went over? There's not a lot this time, thankfully.
No one.
Yeah, there's not a lot this time. I think next time we'll get the big speaker too and put it up here. But there's not a lot of changes. So, okay, keep going. Also, no questions here. Enough in the chat.
Good stuff. So then the unimproved lot purchase agreement just has those same changes listed in there. They do include the Liz Pendens language as well. So you would need to have that form for your seller in that instance. The CDIF, the Consumer Disclosure Information Form, also the same changes, the agency to interest disclosure, the Liz Pendens. So we talked about those. Those would be incorporated in the change on those. And then I guess there's a general disclosure. I wasn't even aware of this form. So the Consumer Disclosure Information Form, but then you have a general disclosure addendum. that you guys use, I guess, when they're not using the rain form. I'm not even actually sure why that disclosure addendum would be used. But so you got that same agency interest disclosure. So you've got if you're an agent and you're in a transaction, you would have to disclose some, relationship to the other party. You got that Liz Pendens language in there as well. Did I do something wrong? Hello?
You did. You did. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Lucy,
Oh.
actually, that's how they're like, you meet him. I'm like, I know he'll stop. No, Lucy just has something to add about that addendum.
Yeah, the general disclosure addendum says right on the top of it, to be used only with non-rain purchase agreements. So
There we go.
you're not gonna run into it very often.
Okay,
If
so
you're if, say you're licensed in Williamsburg and you find something that you're writing that a Williamsburg agent has maybe listed in our area from the Williamsburg MLS, and you're using a non-rain form for that, for whatever
Makes sense.
reason. And then you want to do
Gotcha.
something rain-like, you can add this to it.
yeah, REOs, sometimes they have their own and also new construction.
It's kind of convoluted, and I don't know that you really ever would need to use it, but it's there.
Sure.
Doesn't that sound like it would be more intended for a listing agent to send it over to a buyer's agent? Like if a buyer was purchasing, if a Williamsburg agent was purchasing something that we typically list in rate and or
Well,
and they were using
the
a war contract.
Well, it'd be opposite. So the addendum is made for the buyer's side though, not the listing.
The buyer's
Yeah.
Well, the things that it covers are things that are not covered in the traditional, most other areas use the Virginia Association of Realtors forms, the standard VAR forms.
Yeah.
This general disclosure addendum covers what's not covered in there. Our special condo situations
Mhm.
and rules. It goes deeper into the brokerage relationship. It covers things like environmental disclosures here that are maybe not covered elsewhere. It's gonna cover the acres, which is not a situation outside of our area.
Mhm.
So those are the things that it's gonna cover. So if you've got somebody who's not in our area, isn't familiar with the rain forms, you're gonna want to attach this to it to cover your buyer for those additional instances that a Virginia area realtors form is not going to address.
Most addendums are always going to be on the buyer side because if this was an addendum that you had for your listing, you'd have to have the seller, it'd be between you and the seller for it.
I
But
never understand why, well, maybe if it's like a FISBO, but I just wouldn't understand why as a buyer's agent, we
Uh-huh.
wouldn't be using a rate contract already. So I guess
Because-
that's where I'm-
because, okay, let's just say that you, it's a war contract. It could be a war contract. It could be Eastern Shore contract. It could be an REO. It could be new construction. It could be, there's so many things that like REOs have their own contracts.
Right,
And if you've got a
I
lot
guess
of
that makes
the,
sense.
a
Mhm.
lot of the relocation companies
Mhm.
that end up buying the home from the seller and
Yes.
then marketing it, those relocation companies have very stringent contracts. They're 42 pages. You're gonna wanna slide this sucker in there to protect your buyer.
Yeah. My house I bought relocation, it was 122 pages
Yeah.
I mean,
because they do everything before you get it. So
It would be a foreclosure.
yeah, REOs.
Yeah.
Yeah, REOs. So REOs and new construction. Okay, Austin, I'm going to let you go again. Sorry about that.
No worries at all. So yeah, I thought in paragraph 18E under that, the permissive disclosure for a tourism activity zone was interesting. It provides that an owner of residential property located partially or wholly within a designated tourism activity zone may disclose in writing to any prospective purchaser or lessee. Like, what is this helpful for? So you can, but you cannot. So, well, I guess, if somebody felt like it was on their heart and they wanted to, they could. I thought that was kind of interesting. But and then they removed the historical district programs to match the 2021 update to the CDIF. So nothing else there. The standard listing agreement. So again, you see that Liz Pendens disclosure. So that's I think where that conversation would come up, even when it's not new construction, is if your seller has actual knowledge then they're going to need to fill out that separate form. So I'm guessing you guys are probably going to incorporate that that Liz Pendon's disclosure form into your forms to provide to sellers, because obviously most of them have no idea what forms they need to provide or what they need to do. So they're going to be relying on you guys for that. And it's going to come up at the, once the title search is done anyway. So it's not something that's going to, that they don't disclose it, that it's not going to be discovered, because it's absolutely going to be, uncovered when the title search comes back. The seller's possession agreement, a couple of minor changes there. The language added to address the capitalized terms. So it talks about, if there were defined terms in the purchase agreement, they're incorporated in here. It updates language in reference to flood insurance to match the updates to the buyer's possession agreement. And then remove language optional as parties may elect. We've been seeing a lot of these seller possession agreements lately, and I thought this would probably be a good chance just to talk about, something that's already in there. First, I marked down the deposit rent. This comes up quite a bit, that folks will say, "Oh, well, you guys are going to hold the check," or you hang on to it. And I said, "Well, you got a contract here, and the contract specifically states that the buyer is going to hold the deposit. I mean, the buyer essentially is acting as a landlord at that point. And when you rent a property, you give your security deposit to the landlord, or their representative. So, we're not often, we will, don't let me say, we don't do this, but I generally, when I'm representing a buyer, I'm going to tell them, hey, you hold on to this deposit. This is insurance that the seller in fact does comply with the agreement, does move out, does do the things that they're supposed to do. So you should take it. And also tell buyers, deposit that check. This happens quite a bit. Oh, and then nobody's going to deposit this check. Well, what's the point in giving this check if it's not going to be deposited? I mean, if there's a 4-week seller rent back, they could cancel that check in that time period. So it's just, I'm telling buyers, go ahead and deposit that check, put it in your account. And when you go to do the walkthrough, that's when you're going to, if everything is as it should, you're going to return that deposit back to the seller. Under 4B, this, has the daily rental rate here that the seller is paying, and oftentimes sellers aren't paying that. But this last paragraph, I wanted to point that out, that the buyer may, so if the seller leaves early, seller gives buyer written notice of a seller's intent to vacate early, the buyer may, at the buyer's option, refund a portion of the rent. So I think sometimes it's maybe understood, okay, well, I'm paying per diem for this amount. If I get out early, I get extra. That's not, the case under here. So certainly you would want to make sure to have that in writing. Hey, if we vacate the property early, that we're going to be refunded those amounts, that daily rental rate, for those days that we don't actually occupy the property, because here that definitely makes it discretionary. The buyer can decide, and actually I'm going to keep this money, even though you left the property early. Oh, and then paragraph 7. So this has come up quite a bit as well. We've gotten quite a few folks that have said, hey, can I use the security deposit to, the seller did not clean the place. I want to hire a cleaner to clean out the property. Can I use the security deposit for that? And, I go back to the contract itself. It says, well, the contract specifically states, that the seller is going to remove all their personal property, deliver the property in a broom clean condition. But it does not have any provision in there that states that the buyer can then use the deposit for, it says for specific things, buyer may use the deposit or a portion thereof for the repair of the items in the preceding sentence not repaired by seller. So that's, if the seller damaged the property above normal wear and tear, which is in the sentence, 2 sentences before that, that the buyer, so that's clear, right? So if they've put a hole in the wall in the process of moving, no question. But what happens if it's just not broom clean? It's not swept. And can I hire a cleaner to clean it out and use the seller's security deposit for that? And I go, well, the contract does not state that. What about if I want to hire somebody to remove the stuff that they left? Again, that's not in there. Or what about the obvious one, penalty rent? Let's say they overstay for 4 or 5 days after the date that they're supposed to move out, and there is a provision on the previous page for penalty rent for how much per day they need to pay in the event that they stay past the move out date. That would seem to me an obvious instance where you can use the security deposit for that. But if you're reading this paragraph, those provisions are not included in there. So these are things that you may want to be thinking about when you're negotiating this sort of agreement for your buyers in particular. If you're agreeing to let the seller remain in the property, may be worth adding some additional language to say, okay, they're going to, remove everything, have it in a broom clean condition. The deposit shall be used for any damages or any, if the property is in any condition worse than normal a reasonable wear and tear, or to be used for any, penalty rent in the event that they vacate. And so what I told these folks is just, the contract doesn't state that, but, the last page does have a disposition on there for, how the security deposit shall be released. And so you just put it in there. Okay, well, I had to hire a cleaner, $450, and had to get a guy to move some of this stuff. That was another $250. You put it on there, send it back to the other side. And usually the amounts are, are they going to sue you over that? I don't know. If you got in front of a judge, would they rule in your favor as the landlord that you had to pay for these items? I could see that case, but ultimately, if you're ending up in court, you've probably already lost because it's going to exceed the value of anything on these security deposit anyway. So that was just something that we've been seeing more of these. I don't know if you guys are still seeing that as much, but just some things that have kind of come up recently on these seller possession agreements that you want to keep in mind. And then, of course, we make ourselves available. So if you have questions about it, you want some suggestions and some thoughts to kind of run through some scenarios, some suggested language. Obviously, we're happy to do that with you guys. So any questions on the seller possession agreement?
Anyone have questions here or online? You guys can put in the chat if you're online. Pretty straightforward. Well, that's all your changes. Lucy's also going to be doing a video for training with it that we will be putting out and adding it to the YouTube channel. And then the ALC, somebody will grab that and also do a live in-person one after she's done with that. So we should have that video up by August 1. The new
August 15th, I don't think that can count to August.
Okay. I may just end up doing it. I don't know. We'll see, because they came out July 1. I can't see Carla. Carla, is the brokerment forms all done, or are they still mapping? Okay. Okay, so your Virginia forms are already mapped with the new forms in it. They're done, ready to go. So whenever you go in, you'll be able to start utilizing them. Make sure you use them because Lucy cannot approve if they are the old forms now. North Carolina is what you're saying we're still waiting on?
Yeah.
Okay. But those are already, so anyone else or anything you think of? No? All right. Perfect. So, Austin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it as always. Any questions for Austin in general about any contracts or anything crazy that's come up that you may want to ask while he's on here and we have his ears?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So Austin, I was actually gonna call you. So I have a potential listing coming up. It is a family parcel of land that was subdivided into 4 parcels to family members. One was a large parcel and a farm, and then there's 2 parcels that were subdivided to their kids to build their own homes. There is a road easement because it's only one way in, one way out. If the mom decides to rent her parcel under this agreement, can she do that? Without the signatures of the other 2 family members?
So you kind of broke up in the middle of that there. So do all of the family members own the parcel that the mother wants to rent?
No, it's been subdivided and
Okay.
it's all deeded into their own names, but there is a shared easement agreement for the maintenance of the road to get back there.
Okay. And so can the mother then, who's the only owner of that parcel, rent out her interest in the parcel without obtaining the signatures and consent of the other parcel owners?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Her interest, so presuming that easement agreement is worded properly, the road maintenance agreement, basically her interest would flow to, so if she sold, likewise, she wouldn't be required to get their signatures on it. The new buyer would essentially, or the new tenant would step into her shoes as they exist, as regards to that other agreement. So she would not need to get a signature on them to sell, rent, do anything with her property there. Presuming that, that the document, usually they're crafted to kind of float into one's heirs, assigns, and they run with the land. So any new owner or even a tenant would just take the same rights that she has as to it, and obligations. So, and I can't tell who, I recognize the voice, but I can't quite place it.
Stacy.
It's Stacy.
Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. Okay, hey Stacy.
All right, awesome. Anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you, Austin. Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much,
see y'all.
as always.
All righty.
All right, mortgage minutes with Captain Mortgage. Where is he? There he is. Come on up, sir.
How's everybody doing? All right. Anybody need a stretch or anything after the lawyer talk? So been a busy month for everybody so far, I assume. I know that's for me. So what I'm going to talk about today is interviewing your client. We've had clients recently buy cars in the middle of transactions. Thankfully they made enough money to still qualify. And they said, "What do you mean? I needed a new car." And I wanted to tell her back, "You had 5 months left on your lease because I have your credit report." But I did not. I reserved that, and I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure we can still get it done." So let's say interviews. Depending on who your client is, how did you meet them? If they're your best friend, then obviously you're going to interview them, and you're going to probably be pretty detailed and give them expectations on what's coming up next, things like that. So it's really kind of difficult because sometimes they're not your best friend or not somebody you know. And it's somebody you barely know or don't know at all. So it's hard to have these conversations with them like, "Hey, how much money do you have for closing?" Or "How much money do you have for XYZ?" Because they don't trust you because they just met you, just like they don't trust me when they first meet me. There's a level of bond that we have to try and build there, right? So basically that's what I was trying to get at, is just try and tread lightly, I guess. I mean, we're all in sales, so you kind of know how to ask it or what to ask. But the big hitters for us is, how much money do you have for closing? Don't buy a freaking car. No new lines of credit. So I had a very good friend of mine who's somewhat new-ish mortgage banker, and she posted a video on the internet, and I didn't agree with it. But she's been in banking for over 20 years. She's very smart. She knows her, banking. But she said, "If you're late on your credit card payment, you can't get a home loan." And I'm like, that's the farthest from the truth. I sent it to my credit repair guy, Dwayne, and I'm like, "Can you believe this? Like, why is she putting herself out there like that?" I say this not because to badmouth her, because she's actually, like I said, she's a very good friend of mine. But just be careful what you put on the internet. I know she's beat y'all up about it, and I'll reiterate, just be careful what you put on there. Because if you say, "Oh, well, rates were in the 4s this week," I saw one mortgage banker posted they locked the rate, at 4.125 or something. Be careful what you put on the internet, because your buyer that sees that, it's, "Oh, damn, the rates are going better again." They hit you up and say, "Hey, Manish, I saw blah, blah, blah. Well, what's up with that?" Guess what? That was that one time that their one broker went down. I did a little backstory on it because I asked another person, whatever, doesn't matter. I asked another person that had posted something like that, and I was like, "Where is this?" Somebody that's on their team. And they said, "Well, our broker went down on a one-day deal. They went down 100 bips. What that means is that they could go down in their rates significantly for that one day. It was like a one-day lock thing. It was kind of weird. So it's like a way to get people to talk. exactly what we're doing now. So my point I'm trying to make is be careful what you put on the internet when it comes to talk about rates or even credit, because guess what? You're not the rate expert. You're not the credit expert. You are the facilitator of these things. Let's leave that to them. Unless you're talking to Dwayne, the credit guy, he tells you X, Y, Z, this is how it goes. Feel free to reiterate that, because that's the expert telling you that, right? Anyway, what else? Switching jobs recently. I've had 3 clients in the past 2 weeks who have been at their job for a month-ish. You can still buy a house. The fact is, it's going to take a little bit longer to pre-approve them because they just switched jobs. We have to reach out to the other job to verify that they were there for that period of time. And if one of them happens to be commission-based, guess what? We really have to figure out, because and it was also an FHA loan, which has higher standards on income. So, all these things, best thing I could say is just be thankful that they're trying to do their due diligence and not just send you a pre-approval letter because they said that they made $100,000 last year in commissions without the documentation. So this is just extra time for certain borrowers. If it's that VA loan, they're in active duty right now, you're going to get a pre-approval in an hour. If they send me a bank statement, show me they got $5,000 in the bank or $10,000 in the bank for closing, you're going to get a pre-approval letter immediately. So just bear with us because we're all busy. Let's see. Good, that was that one.
No, this.
Huh?
We have.
Oh, you gotta. Don't. Oh yeah, that's a good one. There was one other thing too before I get into that. Has anybody heard of opportunity zones? This is an open conversation. This is not really so much about lending. It's more just a general conversation I wanted to ask because I had a conversation with somebody that's not in real estate, who is a pseudo investor but trying to get people to invest. So opportunity zones in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, keep your eye open for them because they are a great position or great spot for your investor friends, people that have some liquid capital to kind of start making some money. Because if they help create or facilitate this opportunity zone, great spot for you all agents to kind of make a lot of money. So I don't know a whole lot about it. So that's why I wanted to get a gauge on who in the room knew, because I want to talk to you as a sidebar about it, because I want to learn more. Because the more that I know, the more I can bring to you all as well as a not just a lender, but a real estate partner, I guess, right? I think that was all I had on my notes. All right, so we were talking about closings before the 25th of the month. So this is a weird situation because it depends on who like the closer is and all the things. Because if you put your closing after the 25th, and let's say it's on the 30th of the month, you're closing on the last day of the month, there's what's called accumulated interest, and that can change your cash to close. I know I did a scenario for one borrower, and it was like they had to bring an extra like $1,700 or $1,500 to closing because if they were to close on the 2nd versus closing on the 29th, because that accumulated interest, you have a daily accrual of interest. This is aside from escrows, aside from the taxes and insurance. This is your actual interest. So example is, let's say you're closing on July 28th versus closing August 2nd. You would have in certain scenarios because you have to collect for that whole month's worth of interest. Yeah, if you close on the 2nd versus closing on like the 28th. There are certain scenarios where they can, if they'll do like, it's like a 7-day, collection. Yeah, exactly. So it's like one of the things where I think it's only on certain loans. There's like one loan that they were saying that we couldn't do it on. So I don't know. Either way, but my point I'm trying to get at, do yourself a favor, do your client a favor that's on the fence. That's the whole purpose of this whole conversation is if your client's on the fence and you know that they're short or coming to be short on cash to close, don't close them on the 30th.
I always tell you guys, no matter what they are or aren't, put the closing on the 25th or before. Just put the closing on the 25th or before. It will always help. That way you have extra days if you need it. Your client's not upset that you're going into the next month. The seller, if you're the buyer, is going to have another payment due. If you're the seller, you have another payment due. Like, just do the 25th. That way you have an extra 5 or 6 days to try to get things done and you know ahead of time. So for me, I don't care if they have money or don't. It's just better. It gives you that extra cushion to not put a closing after the 25th.
And we're getting into a little bit different market now where the sellers are not as crazy as, oh, give me a 22-day close. I mean, that's kind of, thankfully, it's kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah.
So other than that, I'm excited to see a lot of new faces here today.
Mhm.
I guess the pizza may have brought some extra people out that wouldn't normally.
No, we brought on new people.
Yeah, that too. That too. But for those of you that are missing out on the pizza party today, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you still have time to swing by. We're going to be here until
Yes.
11:30, so you have time to get here for those of you online.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, Finance Fun with Jessica. Come on up, Jess. Good picture. I know. I picked out a good one.
I didn't really have a lot to talk about.
Come this way.
Just,
So we can see you.
I kind of want to reiterate.
Here you go.
It was kind of what I was going to talk about. Anyway, what Cregan's saying, Captain Mortgage is saying.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are really lucky that you've got Thomasina, who's done her due diligence on the type of vendors that she brings in front of you. And I'm not just saying it because it's me.
Love it.
She does a really great job. She knows what she's doing. You guys know that. You guys are here because you trust her. You know she takes care of you and that she's only going to bring you the best people. Again, not just because it's me. Because it's me. But I say that because it's important that you all trust the people that you're working with. Right now, because rates are higher, we're seeing a lot. We get expected, hope for the best, but it happens because someone's brother's sister bought a house once and their rate was lower 3 years ago. So the rate we're giving them is crazy. Well, yes, because the rates 3 years ago were different. So when we're being shopped, a lot of people are seeing smoke and mirrors. They're getting quoted by people who aren't being completely honest with them. They're charging them points and fees, hidden points and fees. They're not making them aware of it. So a lot of times they're like, you're so great and you're super helpful, but this other person's giving me a lower interest rate. So we do our best to try to educate them on that. And then there's things like, I think Regan again brought attention to it. There's people who are posting on the internet that are saying, we did see a day last week where rates dropped a little bit. Great. I locked everyone in my pipeline I could on that day. That was fantastic. But then there was people who were trying to take advantage of the fact that rates dropped and trying to steal buyers from lenders, which is not cool. Because we always say we don't have a crystal ball. If we did, we would all be way more rich than we could even intend to be. And we say, if you like it, lock it and don't look back, because it could have also gone the opposite direction where it could have kept going up and your payment could be even worse than it is if you hadn't have gone ahead and locked. So just if you could help continue to instill the trust that you have in us into your clients, that helps us all look like we're a good, solid team. Same thing with me and Cregan. Like we are different people. We both provide great service. We might not be the right fit for every buyer, which is a benefit to you because you guys might have someone that fits with me better than they would fit with him and vice versa. So we get to give you all of the opportunities. But to be able to just keep it as a trusting, supportive environment is super important, especially for us right now as a team, as agents, as lenders, to support each other. I don't have to work anybody. But we continue to reiterate to our buyers how wonderful you are, how lucky they are to work with you. And if you guys just continue to do that to support us on the back end, because there's so much going on that's just awful in this business that not only is hurting us, it's not hurting us as lenders, but it confuses the buyers. It takes away the experience for them because they feel like that they've got to, am I doing the best thing for me? Am I making the right decision? Did someone lie to me? Because this person told me my rate was this and now someone's saying I can get this. So just educating them that not every lender looks the same and not every quote is going to be the same, to take a look at their fee sheets, to talk them through it. I offer to look at them. I mean, I had someone who shot me just last night and I said, I'm always trying to learn and grow. Can you tell me what I could have done differently to keep your business, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you couldn't have done a single thing different, but the other person consistently gave me lower rates. I said, would you mind letting me look at your fee sheet? I'm not asking you to stick with me. I just want to make sure that you're not being charged something somewhere that you're unaware of. And if it's a great rate, and they're not charging you for it, I will 100% say it's a great deal, go with them, there's nothing I can do. And they sent it over to me and they were being charged $5,000 for the interest rate. So of course they were getting a lower interest rate, but they're not looking at those things. So I'm sure Cregan would do the same. Let us take a look at it for them. What's that? No, she did not do it. She did not. She said that she felt obligated to stay with the other one because she'd already sent documents, which she'd also sent me, and it was 10 o'clock at night. So I basically was like, good luck. I wish you the best. If anything changes, I'm here.
Is that our
Um,
office?
no.
Damn right. It's not our office. We would have told that client they're crazy to put that money elsewhere.
Those are just the things, like, I think we always try to educate our agents on reminding everyone that what you see is not always what you're actually getting. The internet lies. I mean, there's asterisks all over everything. You click on it and you see all the list of things that they're actually applying towards
So
that.
true.
And what I'm finding, so Quicken, for example, Quicken actually has a lower rate that they're guaranteeing on the internet, but most people, not unfortunately, all of a sudden everybody has money, so they're all trying to buy down their interest rates. So when they actually go to buy down their interest rate, I'm actually beating their rate buy down significantly, but their initial rate up front is lower, so it's getting people in there.
Mhm.
And then they're just like, oh, well, then I'll buy down the rate. But actually, if I compare my rates with theirs, I'm still lower on my rate buy down.
I just don't understand the process.
Right.
You
So
know?
and I tell everybody, I will never quote you rates I will never quote you a rate that includes points and fees unless we've discussed it. And that's what you're interested in doing. You always see everything at zero. And again, because the market's so volatile and we're not sure what's going on, I'm always quoting a little higher on my interest rate. I just close that and there's still options out there. But you need to help support us, we support you. You've got good people in your corner that want to make sure that you're getting the best for your buyers, experience-wise and rate. So if we can do anything to help, let us know. Yeah. Maybe one. So truly, I mean, I know that I don't know. Are you allowed to? So I have a sister who's an agent in Oklahoma, and she swears to me that the rule in Oklahoma, they have to give 2 names. Is there anything like that? I tell her she's wrong, but it's fine.
Could be the rule with her brokerage.
Okay, which is totally fine. We know that some people, again, like I said, sometimes I'm not the right fit. Maybe I wouldn't get along with the person, or I wouldn't be able to explain things properly, or just whatever the reason may be. So I know that there's always opportunity to give more than one name.
So it's not a rule that you have to have a pre-approval letter in order to write a contract, right? But everybody does it.
Everybody does it, yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
Everyone usually gives 1 or 2 names, or 2 or 3 names, but it's not a rule that's written.
Right. I will say it gets hard on the buyers, and it gets confusing. You want to look like you're not being partial to one person, I'm sure, because then also some agents or some buyers, which they've said it to me, well, what's in it for the agent? You guys must be sharing money or giving each other kickbacks if she's only giving you if you're only giving each other's names. I'm like,
promise to split the kickback.
and say,
Yeah.
no, we've just worked together really well. That we're a good team. We know we're going to get it closed. That together we're going to give you the most support possible. So it kind of puts them at ease. But honestly, when you start to give, I would say if you start to give more than 2, and even if you start to give more than 2, the buyers start to get confused. They start to feel the pressure. Like there's been times I've even backed off. If I've been up against multiple people, I've literally said to the buyer, here's the deal. This is getting way too stressful for you. We're going back and forth over $300 at this point. I don't want to be the person that's causing that stress to you. So just choose whoever you feel comfortable working with for the next 30 days, because that's the more important part here.
Minimum,
$300
yeah.
is not going to change anything about your payment, your loan, your closing, any of it. And I've backed off just for the pure fact that it gets to be so much for them that
It's overwhelming for
it's
them.
overwhelming, and it kind of
Yes.
adjusts their experience. Annie Mac.
Annie Mac bought them out.
Yeah. It's not stressful for us. I'm hearing it's very stressful for the people.
It's stressful for OBM.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for them. I've spoken to people who work there that are feeling the pressure of it.
Me too.
it's unfortunate because, I mean, we all hope that it works out. No one wants to see any
No, not at all. But
bad happen.
change is stressful, and change in a shift is double stressful.
Yeah.
You don't know what's coming. And this is with anyone, you don't know what's coming. You don't know what changes are coming. You don't know if layoffs are coming. You don't know if rate changes are coming. You have no idea because this company was just bought out and you're working for them, right? Think about it. If we were bought out by, somebody, you guys were like, everything I know is getting ready to change, it's that type of stress. So
Yeah.
for the other companies, it's not very stressful because this merger isn't something that, like, rates are rates, honestly. They really are. Rates are rates. It's all about the customer service that you're going to get. Everybody pretty much has the same rates and the same ability to go up or down, but it's more of the customer service and what's going to happen. So now OVM, nobody knows if they're going to be good or bad, which is still stressful, right? Because you don't know any Mac, how are they going to incorporate with the people there? Are they going to switch the people out? Are they going to keep the same people? You just don't know. And that's with any company that has a buyout like that.
And I will say, she's nailing the head. I say this every day, actually, to people I talk to. We're right in line with everybody. Like I said, even quickly, we're right in line with everybody, especially locally. I mean, I have friends at every local blender company in the area. We all talk almost daily comparing rates because we all want to make sure that we're right in line with each other. And as friends, we want to make sure we're doing it and helping each other. I'm not sure because I'm not super familiar with AndyMac's products.
Yeah. I mean, so far, nothing has come out that any of that has changed. But again, there may be one product each company can offer that the other one can't, but you don't know. It might just be a different name. Most of them will offer the same products. There's a very less than 2% chance that there's a product that can be offered. There's different things. He's got a product that they offer that I feel is very segregated. She's got something that she offers that's segregated to her, but very small. And it's not like for the majority of people buying, they're not going to use these
Right.
one-off
It's very
products.
specific.
You're talking more of investors, flippers, things like that. It's not really your general one, because even when I've seen in 16 years, somebody will say, we got this new thing within a month. The other one's got the new thing too, and grants are grants, and it's all governed because of that. So you can't go and try to make your rate way lower without losing money and being out of business. Like if you find someone that's significantly lower in rates, what's happening is they're taking money out of their pocket to buy that rate down, basically, right? They're actually, like, we were talking just 2 weeks ago that there was a company and they were basically losing $2,500 on deals, not making any money, with the mindset of, hey, it takes, we got to lose money to get money later. And you can't do that with mortgage companies, because if you continue to do that, you will go out of business. You can't do that with real estate companies, right? You will go out of business. Anything that is commission based like that, you can't continue to do that. You might be able to do it one off, two off, but you can't do that forever without the government stepping in too.
Yeah.
There are a lot
Yeah,
of
we have
laws,
to-
guidelines, rules, regulations, and financial numbers that go into that. And so I tell people, if you do see someone like that, you actually need to do the opposite. And I'll stand right here and tell everybody that online. I'll go Facebook Live. Stand clear of that, because they're desperate and they're doing practices that's going to catch up with them in a bad way, and also you in a bad way. So you're going to get stuck going and taking your clients to this. And it might be good for a couple of months, but the next thing you know, man, you're going to get hit. And you could be in a lawsuit. You could be in some type of illegal practice that you don't know about. We try to stay in our own lane, but at the same time, in 16 years, I'm telling you, the rates, the offers, the products do not vary much. It is the customer service of the actual loan officer. And that's why I don't have agreements with the loan officers, because if I had an agreement with Jess, or I had an agreement with Cragen, it's not an agreement with Jess, and it's not an agreement with Cragen. It's an agreement with his company he's working for and her company that she's working for. That means if anything would happen to those two companies and decide to move for whatever reason, I'm stuck in a contract with that company. I don't want that. And so we are the only real estate company I know of in Hampton Roads that does not have an agreement with the loan officer's company that says, and we don't even have anything in writing with us, it's just handshake, you know, that says, okay, we are a preferred lender. We're going to give you this amount of money to be a preferred lender. Like, they don't give me money to be a preferred lender. And so we're the only one I even know of. I used to know of another one, but they started doing it. So it's basically, I don't want anyone to own me either, right? I don't want anyone to own you all. I want you to be free to use whoever you want. I'm just telling you, in all my years, when I find a good one, I'm going to do whatever I can to get them in front of you so that you have someone say, if something goes wrong on your deal and I call her up, I guarantee you it could be 1 a.m. and she's going to answer the phone, guys. You know, the other loan officers, they're not going to do that. Because even though she may not answer the phone at 1 a.m. for you all, she's going to answer the phone for me. So isn't Craig. They're going to do it because I don't do that. I don't call them when, right? They're going to be, oh my gosh. So over the years, it's just best whenever you have someone who can close it. And then I can step in, because we've had issues even in the last week. Someone's like, hey, I got this issue with closing. And I said, who is the company? Never even heard of them. I can't do it. I can call. They're not going to answer me. We don't have a relationship, right? So the customer service, what I expect these two to do, and David O'Shanti, is that they answer, they are able to take care of you. You are their client. It's not just your client that's their client. You are their client. I want them to treat you not only with respect, but literally make sure that you're happy too, so that you come back. And they do that naturally. They do it naturally. The added bonus is just that if I have to get involved, they're going to answer the phone for me. And we're going to be first on the list at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, that's just what it is. But I mean, how many times have I called you 1 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. Because, but why? Because we haven't had those issues.
Right.
They handle it, you know? And why do they handle it? Back in the day, it was because they knew they were going to lose my business too, right? Now it's just a friendship and a love for you guys, and they handle it because you guys do come first in their book. So it's just something that is offered. It's not anything to where, and I've told every single one of you this, I do not make you use anybody, right? I just tell you, here are some great people that I know will stand beside you. And they sponsor a lot of our stuff as far as events, but they don't pay for y'all's leads. We do that, you know, we take out that money on every transaction to pay for those leads. We don't ask for anything extra on those, you know, they just come and sponsor, and they don't have to. And you can ask them every time I call them, I say, listen, you do not have to do this. Do not think you have to sponsor this, but this is what's coming up. Same with Sarah. This is what's coming up. And if you want to, you absolutely can, but you do not have to. And they do it every time. I mean, they're always ready to go. So it's nice to have them there. It's nice to have them at your beck and call, basically, you know. I tell you guys, try to let everybody sleep. Same with Lucy, the mentors, you know, let everyone sleep. Don't be calling people 11 o'clock. But if there is an emergency and you text, you know, a true emergency, one of us is always going to answer. It's usually me, but one of us is always going to answer, you know. I mean, it's just going to happen. And that's the glory of being with our brokerage, is that you do have help, and you have help when you need it, you know. So that's a very long, elongated speech, but you kind of took me down that path there, best friend. So I appreciate you. I appreciate Craig. And did you have anything else to say? Thank you two very much for that. Appreciate it. Next up is Insurance Minutes with our ladies. Oh, what happened to?
Oh, I don't know. That's okay.
There you are.
Hey guys, how's it going? I feel like we're always like the ones in between you and food, or people
Come
and
back
food.
to a little
So-
bit. Yeah, there you go.
Hey guys, wish
There you
y'all
go.
were here. Just to speak to what Jessica said, I mean, providing the like ultimate client experience for your buyers, like that's the goal for everyone. So having this, you know, one team, and you know your clients are being taken care of, it's going to give you guys peace of mind. And she was like speaking to different fees and like rate sheet. And with insurance, we're doing a class on Wednesday, August 3rd. And we're going to be going over the insurance declarations page, just so you kind of know what the mortgage company needs to see, the underwriters need to see to get them to closing, but also comparing coverages, deductibles, because what do the customers look at the end of the day? They're looking at the bottom line. They're looking at the bottom line, but they're not necessarily looking to what's going into that bottom line. So someone could have a really low rate, but then their deductible is like $10,000, and they're not really educated on that. So we're going to be going through the declarations page. what the different coverages are, what the different deductibles are, things to be aware of on the declaration page. And at Prosper, you know, our goal is to really educate our clients. You know, insurance can be complicated and people don't always know who to trust because they're hearing ads, you know, from TV and, you know, multiple sources. So we want to educate and guide our clients so they feel good about the insurance policy that they are receiving and they know they are appropriately covered. And our agents will, if the buyer is like, look, I'm getting this really low rate from this company, great. Just like Jessica said, send us that policy, not because we're trying to take away from them. We just want to make sure and go through and look at your coverages and make sure they're appropriately covered. They're not like grossly undercovered on their dwelling coverage. The deductible isn't sky high. And if we do find, if the agents do see like, yeah, this policy is great and they're getting a good rate, they'll let them know. So again, it's all about providing that great customer experience for the client. So super excited to go through that class with you all. Again, that's in a few weeks on Wednesday, August 3rd at 10 a.m. And then afterwards,
So I'm gonna have a Popeye workshop, which I've done a couple times, but this one we put out a vote for, which I really liked. So it's gonna be like those little air fresheners, and it's gonna say, "Working with an agent you trust makes sense."
Y'all crack me up with their Popeyes. I love it.
So
And just so you know, with their Popeyes, it's never a cost and you guys can make as many as you want. So I don't know why you don't do it. It's crazy.
yes,
Even if you just make 10 to give to your friends and family, it's absolutely crazy why you don't do it.
but please RSVP so I know how many we need to buy, so we can all make a whole bunch.
RSVP, where did you email everybody or is it on our Facebook page? Okay.
It's on Facebook.
Okay.
And you can have them at open houses too, which I think would be
Yes.
cute. Or just pass them out.
It's so cute.
have a little basket.
And they
people
work.
can grab.
Yeah, I've had people say, "Oh, I passed out one of your Popeyes and I got a client from it." So
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're so cute.
Staying top of mind. That's what it's all about right
They're
now.
so
Yeah.
cute.
Any questions about insurance?
They're not going to reach out to you and say, who do you use for insurance? Usually that's on the lender. The lender gives out the name. So make sure the lender that you use, which our guys already know.
To give out Sarah's.
Give them
Mhm.
Sarah's number
Yep.
for insurance.
Yeah.
We just offer to send it.
Yeah, they send it over. So we
Just
reach out,
easier.
we reach out to them. Yeah, we'll reach out to them. They've already got so much on their plate. We want to make sure we,
We don't just go sending it.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The buyer says, oh, I gotta be amazing.
Yep.
We
And send it.
They
Mhm.
run everything and then they call.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Listen to their agent's initial recommendation to go with these others.
Yes.
Because then give
Yes.
insurance and then all teamwork.
Yes. Big teamwork.
Absolutely. One team. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. Tina is not here. Lucy. Uh-huh. So that everyone can see on the Zoom. If you stand kind of where she was, you should be able to be. There you go.
Okay, we're gonna back up to what Austin went over with the new contracts and stuff. The new purchase agreement with that expanded agency interest disclosure, I don't know why they took out the lines to write it in. So make note that on that, you're now going to put all of your agency interest disclosures in the other provisions section. Okay? They took out the line, didn't consult with me, you know. Regarding the standard listing agreement with the new Liz Penn's information, that goes along with all of the other things. It's actual knowledge. And it's not your actual knowledge, it's the seller's actual knowledge of pending litigation. There is now a checkbox for that. It's up above the section where you disclose short sales stuff. So it's kind of buried. It is bold, but it's buried and it's not easy to see. So be on the lookout for that. I've had to send a couple back already for checking that box because it's not well marked. It would make sense to have it with the rest of the things you're disclosing, the zoning violations and the other stuff. So it's not there. Be on the lookout for that. It is a new checkbox situation on your standard listing agreement. Did everybody understand the new disclosure language? Are we good on that? As far as agency interest disclosure, and you're just going to disclose it all, period, or just going to keep it disclosed. The other big change that Austin didn't really talk about is the buyer's possession agreement has changed so that it mirrors the seller's possession agreement. The buyer's possession agreement used to be two separate forms with the possessing and the releasing stuff. They have now put it all together. It's a 3-page form that looks just like the seller's possession agreement. It mirrors it. So just be on the lookout for that. If, I'm just going to throw this out there, if you're the listing agent, the buyer's possession agreement is a no. It's too big a risk for your seller. You don't put a buyer who's having trouble getting their loan closed in the property. Don't do it. If you're the agent with the buyer who's getting access to the home early, good for you. But if you're the listing agent, the answer is no. It's just no. I don't have anything that's been coming up on contracts. Just be aware. I put in Facebook the list of items that were updated on June 30th. Make sure you're using those new documents, especially now that they're available in Brokerment. Obviously, if you're using Instanet, they were available on July 1st. So yeah, make sure you're using all the current documents. Any questions for me? I'm going to throw out one more thing. If you've got closings happening between July 21st and 31st, get all your documents in this week, get them submitted by Wednesday night, because next Thursday, I'm getting on a boat and I'm not doing nothing. Okay?
Yeah.
Me and Mickey are going to sea and I'm not doing anything until the 1st of August.
Carla and I will be approving things, but yes, she's not doing anything.
You're not going to be left high and dry, but the more you get in now and get done, the easier it's going to be for the people who are filling in for me while I'm gone.
Also known as me and Carla.
So
Yeah.
let's make it easier for you
Yep.
all to get paid. Get all of the stuff dumped in now. Tell your friends, tell everybody, get it in now. I'm driving to Florida Tuesday and Wednesday next week. I will be approving documents on the road. Okay. I will link my iPad to my hotspot on my phone and I will approve documents until 8 p.m. on Wednesday night. Okay. 8 p.m. Wednesday, I'm out. Me and Mickey, we're on a cruise. Okay.
Anything on Brokerman or anything like that? All good? All right. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, thank you. All right, Carla.
Hi, everybody. Okay, I have to say this again.
Am I gonna yell at you?
Referrals.
Oh my gosh.
I'm still getting transactions turned in that have referrals and there's no referral document. I have no idea who the referral goes to and how much it is. So I'm texting, begging for the information. I'm fussing at Thomasina. They're just not listening. It makes a lot of work. I have to put it in my system and I have to do it in Brokerment. That's 2 places that I'm entering everything that is actually wrong. So the report I'm sending to Thomasina is wrong. And then I have to go back and fix it all. So please get those in. You have the referral. You know it's a referral when you get it. So yes, and it's not just 1 or 2, it's several.
Yeah, if it's 1 or 2, she won't mention it. When it's several, that's what she's like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you need to send that. They won't send the check. When you have a referral coming in, I understand you maybe sent a buyer and you don't know the property that they're buying. But you need to keep up with that agent and track where they're at, what are they buying, when is it closing? When should I expect that referral fee to be coming in? I will say Joe's really good at that. Go in and change the name of that transaction. If you know they're buying 123 River Road in Texas or whatever, put that address in there. When I get those texts, it does not give me who the agent goes to 98% of the time. And I have to search and text and try to figure out who does it belong to.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hopefully.
And
Sometimes.
I'll get a text, hey, I'm expecting a referral coming from Texas. Well, I got a text from another agent yesterday that's expecting one too. So if you change that name, I can identify it quickly, get it to your money.
For some reason, we have so many come from Florida and New York. Everybody's got a referral from Florida and New
Yeah,
York. So if you got like another one from Florida, like we don't know. Yes.
I've had Texas, Florida, and New York that are real popular.
So I want to actually right now, my ops runs both us out in setting up our ops feeds optimize like how many leads we're getting. So I continue to get things outside my leads.
Okay.
So I was bold yesterday. We set up, this is my, I saw it right here. I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. Oh no. And then I hit the claim and I was like, oh, I regret this so much. It's not even right there. Hey, well, the man says, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I'm wasting your time. I have a remote job and I'm looking in so many different areas. So I have to tell my story over and over and over. And I said, this is last time I get some story. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you along with the process and I will find a Keller Williams agent. Is that like, okay, how does that work with, because it's an option. What does that entail? Yeah, like how does that process work?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to see if the person that you hand it to in another area is willing to, like, if like it's already got to be 35 no matter what, right?
That has to be, that's something that would be set up front. Okay?
Yeah.
Option fee,
Yep.
It's 35%.
Yep. And you would, whatever the full referral is, and then at the bottom you would write 35 to City and 10 to me or whatever it is. You would, something you have to negotiate with each person that you do.
That's my plan.
It is. Yep, that's why I said that.
I'm willing to do that.
Sure.
To gain
Mhm.
this need in another area.
Yep.
It's gonna be like, oh my God, I used this agent. She's in Hampton Roads, but she.
Yeah.
helps me,
It's just going to be hard,
you know?
Yeah, it's just going to be hard.
I got some time. I'll try.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else? You good?
Okay.
So, I had a listing that was, under contract, townhouse, that was under contract, buy. It's not a flip. Like, you know, it's buyer that was under contract, bought. Never in my life have I had a buyer ask for it, or like, replace it. But anyways, we ended up replacing, we couldn't agree on terms, and I made the choice to go into the market prior to the 61 days that I or that I could relist it and make it look fresh on the market, fresh pictures with the buyers, and it got it back to the contract. So I'm sharing that with y'all because we were 49 days. Could I talk to my sellers and say, hey, let's wait 10 days before we list it? I could have, but in this particular situation, it's more worth it if they don't get permission. If I put it back on the market the way that it was, it's
Monday after. I think it's also, I also have been.
Back, Nikki and Vanessa said.
They did.
I was like, how did we do this? And why did they find? I was like, no. Why did they do it? Why did they do it? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. All right, everybody. So just a reminder, Something Broker is every Tuesday, except for when we have team meetings. And when our team meeting now, we're adding extra stuff into it. Every Monday and Friday is virtual coaching with Bill Crespo. All this is on our Facebook page. You also get text messages that tell you the week schedule, the day schedule. It tells you 30 minutes before it starts, and it also tells you 5 minutes before it starts. There is no excuse for you not to know yet. I still hear from 20, 30 people each week. I had no idea that was happening, they said. It's crazy to me. Crazy. So this Wednesday, tomorrow, at the Hilltop office, Mary Frances is going to show you how to create a gift to make for yourself. So make sure you go. I don't know why you guys do not take advantage of the social media training if you have not, because it is free. It gives you all kinds of great things to try and do. Mary Frances is really great with it. And Christy does Canva and Command. And then you have one-on-ones you could do with the admin for your website, and Command as well with Caitlin. You just schedule it with her. You have one-on-ones you can do with Brokerment, with Carla as well. All kinds of training. The wealth building on Thursday, though, is canceled. The event place that we had, excuse me, the event place that we had is not able to do it. So we're going to reschedule it for August. You guys already have a text message about that, though, because we already sent it out, and we will let you know as soon as we know the date for August. Other highlights, docks, piers, bulkheads, and dredging is the 28th. That's going to be really good with Chrissy. And you are having it via Zoom. And then are you also having it in person, Chrissy, at the Hilltop office? Yep, at the Hilltop office. So August 1 is business planning clinic. Also, Holly just let me know that she's going to do the video to go through the purchase agreement, and she's going to have it in person and also do the video for her. So that's going to be whenever she decides, sometime next week or so. She will get that out, and we will add that to the events calendar to have that done. Yeah. So she'll let us know. We'll update that, and then you'll see it as well. We'll send it out, but you'll see it you'll get an invite from the Facebook page for that. So new agents, we have a few. Deja and her husband, Steven. Actually, Stefan. You know, when I see him in person, I call him Steven. When I read his name, I call him Stefan. When I read his name, I say Steven, which is everything. Sure, we say Stefan. Vanessa. Welcome, Vanessa. She is here. Kayla is here. Welcome, Kayla. Is Miranda here? No, she's not here. Miranda is also a transfer into our brokerage. Jed is a transfer into our brokerage. So all these people came from a lot of wonderful places, but I would like to let you know that Jed just came over from EXP. And so that's a big deal, because I've taught you all what EXP does, because they do recruit you a lot, but now our brokerage is starting to do the opposite of recruiting them without trying. So yes, and it all goes because I keep telling you guys every single thing, and I send out all the notes, and you guys, when they call up, you end up recruiting them instead of them recruiting you. So great job on that. All right, top listing agent units is Chrissy. Volume, Jimmy Ray. Oh, he did. He probably happened to go. Okay. Top closing agent units, Kara. Kara, you're on here. Congratulations, Kara. Volume, Esther. I think Esther's on here. Congratulations, Esther. All right, another sweep, top listing team, units and volume. And closing team, units, keep it going. And volume sweeping for the third. Vinashki Keeter Homes, congratulations. Top commercial closing agent, Jean, you want some commercial closings? Well, because if she doesn't, there's no commercial closings, and that is not true, because Holly and Chrissy both are in training for a commercial and have already done a commercial. And so that is not true. She is not our only one. We do have more. It's okay. More to come, right, ladies? All right, testimonials. Lily with a testimonial. Also, Sam has testimonial on it. Congratulations. All right. And of course, our anniversaries. Congratulations for the anniversaries. Congratulations. All right, we don't have any extra vendors today, not online or present. I keep that up there just in case. We never know what comes. But I'm going to close this in prayer. And then is the pizza ready? Awesome. Then we can eat. Lord, thank you so much for this great venue today. And thank you for the wonderful loan officers, closing company, and insurance vendors that we do have. They're more like family. They really aren't vendors to us. And you have put them in our lives. And we are so thankful for that. Thank you for every agent that is here and is transferred in. You are growing our family, not only by number, but by hearts. They are truly wonderful people. And I feel like our culture has only gotten better. This business is for you, Lord, as always. And I would love for you to come, bless us, bless our families, and bless this food. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Well, I will see everybody that is on there. If you want to come by, please feel free. We are here eating pizza. And for those of you in the seats, go grab some food. Craig, did we get some